What they talk about all these current strikers and whatever, does none of them have done something that I've not? Am I on a different planet or something?
Yeah.
Because the way you want to be talking about me is oh, I'm lucky.
January 7th, 2025. Newcastle playing Arsenal. Alexander Isak bags a goal and a stat appears on screen. That was Isak's 50th goal for Newcastle, and he took him 86 games. But there was another name on that list with 50 goals in just 50 games, 36 less than Isak. A strike rate that belongs to the elite of the football world. A strike rate that belongs to Andrew Cole.
I love scoring goals. I get a big buzz out of scoring goals.
When was the last time you heard Andy Cole mention the same breadth as Shearer, Henry, Kane, or even today's stars like Haaland or Salah? How did a striker with 187 Premier League goals, the fourth highest of all time, become so overlooked? We're going to explore how one of the Premier League's greatest ever goal scorers became its most disrespected legend. Football has always been a game of opinions. But sometimes those opinions fail to align with the reality, and no player embodies this quite like Andy Cole.
Even in this 2023 or whenever it is, you're still slightly getting disrespected. I see them trying to compare you with Nunez the other day.
I said, nah, bro, because I'm letting everybody know now. Yeah, it needs to stop.
The numbers don't lie. Fourth highest goal scorer in Premier League history. But beyond the numbers, there lies a story of constant disrespect.
When he went to Newcastle, he frightened the fucking life out of everyone. He's still someone to this day that doesn't get the credit. When people talk to me about the top end of the Premier League, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Let's start by talking about penalties. Of Cole's 187 Premier League goals, just one came from the penalty spot. I repeat that, one. If we exclude penalties, Cole ranks as the second highest scorer in Premier League history. While Shearer, Kane and others boosted their tallies from 12 yards out, Cole earned his goals the harder way. Movement, positioning and clinical finishing in the box. 93 goals for Manchester United alone, without penalties. That's more non-penalty goals than Luis Suarez scored for Liverpool, more than Sadio Mane, more than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I always believed that if I couldn't score goals in open play, I'm not good enough.
A striker scoring just one penalty in his entire career is hard to believe, but there's a number within Cole's career that makes even less sense. 15. That's how many caps he got for England, a number that makes absolutely no sense when you look at how many goals he was scoring. No doubt he was unfortunate. His first 4 caps came under 4 different managers. How can you build any kind of international career with that sort of instability? The real damage, though, came from Glenn Hoddle, a man famous for speaking before engaging his brain. He famously said that Cole needs 5 chances before he scores. It was a devastating and unfair assessment that made people question his ability to play. This was a man who performed at the highest level in the Champions League. Cole's masterclasses against Juve and Barcelona in the Champions League directly contradicted the notion that he wasn't good enough for England.
Glenn Hoddle says he needs too many chances to score. That's clinical.
It's not like Cole wasn't used to adversity, though, was it? Cole's career wasn't just about records and goals. It was about overcoming obstacles that would have broken lesser players. He arrived at United with shin splints that plagued him for his first 2 years. In the summer of '96, he contracted pneumonia, and during his recovery in the reserves, he had both of his legs broken in one tackle by Liverpool's Neil Ruddock. Most players wouldn't be the same after that, but Andy Cole isn't most players. 25 goals in 45 games in the 97-98 season, 24 in 50 in the 98-99 season, and 22 in 45 in the following season. 3 consecutive 20-plus goal seasons after injuries that could have ended his career. And while we're talking about numbers, when we talk about Premier League records, Cole's name appears with remarkable frequency. He was the first player to score 5 goals in a Premier League match, a feat only matched since by 4 players. He set a Premier League record with 34 goals in the 93-94 season. He became the fastest player to score 50 Premier League goals, taking just 65 games. And only recently did Erling Haaland break that, needing 48 games. But it is worth noting that 11 of Haaland's first 50 goals were penalties. And of course, we know that Cole only scored 1 penalty in his career. Cole also ranks second only to Haaland for most goals scored in a player's first ever Premier League season. And perhaps most impressively, Cole scored in 26 different matches for Newcastle in 93-94, a record that still stands today. This wasn't just about hat-tricks against weak opposition or hitting patches of form. It was about consistent, week in, week out excellence. And he also popped up when it mattered. He scored the goal that won the league for United in '99.
It's the goal that could be in the championship for Manchester United.
What made Cole special wasn't just his goal tally, it was the variety and quality of his goals. Delicate chips, overhead kicks, solo efforts, headers, rifled finishes, ace finishes. Cole had it all in his repertoire. And what made him so difficult to play against was that unpredictability he had. He ran defenders into the ground, spinning in behind, fronting up to receive possession. Marcel Desailly once called Cole one of the hardest opponents he had faced because of that movement. And it was that movement and versatility that made Andy Cole a dream partner for other strikers. And one man in particular. Beautiful! That's the one! You captured the imagination, quite like Cole and Yorke. Their telepathic understanding produced some of the most breathtaking attacking football we've ever seen at United. And their crowning moment came against Barcelona in the Nou Camp. Yorke stepping over the ball. Cole, first time pass back to him. Yorke, first time pass back to Cole. Slots into the bottom corner. A telepathic bit of work from the two great strikers. And a wonderful goal. Now, to understand the full extent of Cole's disrespect, we need to understand the era in which he played. It's important. His time at Old Trafford coincided with the peak of anyone but United culture. As United dominated English football in the 90s and early 2000s, many refused to give players their proper credit. It became fashionable to minimise achievements, to find flaws where there weren't any. And we still see this happen to this day. Success breeds contempt, and United was successful for too long, and players like Cole suffered as a result.
Well, Coley, to be fair, has took a lot of criticism over the last few seasons, and I think obviously a lot of unfair criticism. Everyone at the club rates Andy, and it's only now that maybe the press and the fans are, really.
Now, numbers don't tell the whole story, but they certainly help paint a picture. And Cole's numbers really are staggering. Andy Cole in the Premier League has the joint most goals in a season minus penalties, joint most goals in a single game, joint most goal involvements in a season, second fewest matches to 50 goals. Second most goals minus penalties. Second most goals in a debut season. Second most goals in a single season. Fourth most total goals. Numbers everywhere. But perhaps the most impressive stat is this. As well as scoring 34 goals in the 93-94 season, he also set up another 13. He became the first player to win the Golden Boot and have the most assists in the same season. And with 47 goal involvements, he jointly holds the record for most combined goals and assists in a single season. He wasn't just a finisher, he was an all-round elite attacking footballer. So where does Andy Cole rank in the pantheon of Premier League greats? The stats say top 4, the trophy cabinet says elite, and yet the respect hasn't always followed. And maybe perhaps that's because of Cole's own personality.
I don't like people who take liberties. I'm just me, and I've always tried to be me.
Never one to seek the spotlight. Cole let his performances do the talking, but I'll do the talking now for you, Andy. 5 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 1 Champions League, 1 League Cup, 2 Charity Shields. Yeah, I'm counting them, why not? 187 Premier League goals, 1 penalty. That is certainly a CV that speaks for itself. In the end, though, how do we measure greatness? Is it just stats? Is it trophies? Is it something more? By any measure that you use, Andy Cole stands as one of the Premier League true giants. A player whose contributions have been consistently undervalued, whose legacy deserves far greater recognition. So we return to where we started, that stat on the screen during Newcastle versus Arsenal. 50 goals in 50 games. Only now, you understand the full context. You see beyond the numbers to the man who deserves to be remembered as one of the Premier League's greatest ever strikers. And it's about time that everybody gave Andy Cole the respect he deserves, because like he said himself, look at the numbers and compare them to anyone else.
Oh God, the best rapper alive, headshot. Not going ask the best rappers that died. They tell you he never lied.